I did present him with a 43-page document when I saw him in Makerfield on what I believe would help the hospitality sector, and that document was put together by the Nighttime Industries Association, Philip Colvin, who's probably the most eminent KC for hospitality in the country. There's a lot to do, there really is.
Andy Burnham's flurry of feel-good policies has continued today, with the Prime Minister announcing that he's cutting business rates for pubs, clubs and live music venues from April. In his third policy announcement since becoming Prime Minister on Monday, Burnham described the plan as a first step to help businesses, saying pubs in particular need to know the cavalry is coming. The government insists the rate cut, believed to cost £100 million, is to be funded by a review of tax relief on businesses such as vape shops. While some hospitality firms welcome the move, others, such as hotels and restaurants, have questioned why the cut won't be extended to them. The Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch was also scathing of the plans.
Last year, I announced Conservatives would abolish business rates. Abolish business rates for most of the high street, not just pubs, but shops, restaurants, retail, hospitality, leisure. And more importantly, I showed how I would pay for it. Our new Prime Minister only wants to cut business rates by 20%, and only for clubs, pubs and music venues. And he hasn't even found the money to pay for it. Look, I like to have a good time as much as the next person, but surely he can do better than that.
Kemi Badenoch there. Well, joining me now is Chair of the Nighttime Industries Association and former Nighttime Economy Advisor to Andy Burnham, Sacha Lord. Sacha, good evening to you.
Good evening, Kate.
I'm sure you welcome this announcement, but given your experience, the nighttime economy is more than just pubs, clubs and live music venues. Does this go far enough?
Well, it's certainly a fantastic start, Kate. And, you know, I knew a couple of weeks ago that this was coming. The last time I was with Andy, I was with him actually on Monday to clap him in. But the time previous to that was in his office in Makerfield, where obviously he's still the MP. And he was talking about hospitality, and he was explaining, you know, his thoughts. And I totally agree that a pub is far more than just a pint. A pub is essential to our local communities and our social cohesion. And, you know, I really like this new style of delivering good news at 6 a.m. every morning when we're waking up to good news. It feels like there's hope for once. But no, it's certainly a start. You know, it's on average about £1,100 help that we've received today. But I think there's something more important than that. You know, I've been on your show before, Kate, and spoken about how catastrophic the hospitality industry is at the moment. We're on our knees. And we're losing 2 pubs a day at the moment, with many, many closures for restaurants and places like that. So I think more importantly than £1,100, it's given the sector hope. And, you know, it's given us breathing space. And he's only 3 days into the Premiership and he's already talking about pubs, clubs and live music venues, which we have not had that for many, many years. So, yeah, it's very welcome. There's more that can be done, don't get me wrong, and I've got ideas what can be done. But it's certainly a very positive start, Kate.
Give me those ideas. Where else would you like to see help brought in? And let's just bear in mind that Andy Burnham doesn't have a big purse, a magic purse with indefinite amounts of funding in it. Already he's coming under fire for announcing policy pledges that don't appear to be as securely funded as perhaps we've been led to believe they might be. I'm sure some jigging around can be done to solve that, but what other ideas do you have? Where else should he go?
I've got 2 main ideas, Kate, but the one thing I would say about funding this is, look, businesses, hospitality businesses are closing left, right and centre. And obviously once a business is closed, they're not paying any taxes whatsoever. So, you know, by securing these, it's a long-term vision. You are going to get your business rates, you are going to get your VAT, you are going to get your NI, PAYE, you know, hopefully corporation tax if it's possible. So if this is a long-term vision, if he phoned me up today and said, what else can I do? I would say, number one, bring VAT in line with the rest of Europe. Tom Kerridge has got a fantastic campaign at the moment about reducing VAT. That would be a huge mechanism for the sector.
So you want it down to 9%, is it, that's charged in the rest of Europe on average?
I mean, that would be fantastic. Tom wants it to go to 10%, but even down at 12.5%, 13%, it would make a huge difference. And in fact, I'm not tribal when it comes to politics, Kate. I'm a big Andy Burnham supporter, and I am a Labour Party member. But the last person that did that was Rishi Sunak when he was Chancellor. Coming out of COVID, he reduced VAT to 5% and then nudged it to 12.5%. That saved many businesses and many jobs. But the other thing I'd like to see as well is a reversal on the national insurance increase. When Rachel Reeves increased that in her budget, since then we've lost 124,000 jobs. And when you dig down into that, hospitality jobs, when you dig down into that, they're mainly for young people aged between 18 and 24 who might have a Saturday job to help them through college or university, like a Saturday job in a pub or restaurant. Those have gone now. They're very few and far between. And the one thing we need to do a much better job is getting young people into work. And the best sector for young people to get them into work, to learn skills, is hospitality.
OK, so then you'd have to do away with increases to the minimum wage. It is the minimum wage increase which is preventing a lot of employers from hiring young people. It is the increase to employer national insurance that is causing much more harm than anything else. Businesses are finding it unsustainable to keep employing as many people. And now we're sort of getting into the really complicated bits, really, aren't we, Sacha Lord? There were sweeping moves made by this government to raise money needed elsewhere, they would argue, which have irreparably damaged the hospitality industry. And a 20% cut in business rates, well, that's not going to help restaurants. Someone's texted in and said, what's the difference between a pub and a restaurant that sells food and alcohol?
Well, I'd say this is a first intervention that we've seen today, and it is absolutely welcomed. But I am absolutely expecting.
So you must be expecting more then.
I just said that. I think there's more to come, Kate. I really do.
OK, so you feel strongly there is more to come. So for anyone complaining, and Tom Kerridge is one of those people today that has said, actually, saving of about £1,000 a year, it isn't going to make a whole lot of difference. You can call that ungrateful or not. He doesn't seem too impressed with it. As you said, he is on a mission to get VAT reduced. Look, I mean, talk to me about how you feel about this Andy Burnham government. Is there a role for you here, Sacha? I know you're close. You're a big advocate of Andy Burnham. You're his former nighttime economy advisor. You understand him. He understands you. Is there a place for you in his team, do you think?
We've already had good conversations, but hospitality is my life. It's what I've done for 30 years. But I completely understand. Andy's got probably more important things to do in his first few weeks. So his announcement today was very much welcomed, but I do understand, there's a queue of people that want to talk to him and passionate about their sectors. On your news today, we heard about the escalation of war. I love pubs, I love restaurants, but clearly that comes in front of them. But no, we've had good conversations, and I did present him with a 43-page document when I saw him make a field on what I believe would help the hospitality sector, and that document was put together by the Nighttime Industries Association, Philip Colvin, who's probably the most eminent KC for hospitality in the country. There's a lot to do, there really is, and we are the 5th biggest sector in the whole of the UK. We're the 3rd largest employer, and I think everybody listening to this probably understands how badly our sector has been affected.
Yeah. And do you think, as Andy Burnham says, that it is about protecting Britain's working class culture? Does that lean into nightclubs, into live music venues?
I think it certainly does more with pubs than live music and nightclubs. Interestingly, Angela Rayner today also spoke about the importance of nightclubs, which is a complete curveball that I wasn't expecting.
We know she likes a nightclub after her experiences in Ibiza. We know this, Sacha, don't we?
Well, I can probably give you a bit of an exclusive. So I sold my businesses a couple of years ago, the Warehouse Project and Part Life. Angela Rayner has been to both. And yes, she does like, she does like a dance and to get on the dance floor. But I think this is what we need more with politicians, Andy Burnham, DJs, to raise money. And
look, could you, just to sort of press you on this again, there are certain things that make sense, I think people would argue. Would you relish the opportunity to work in Andy Burnham's team, or to work as an advisor to government, or in some capacity on this area, on making sure the nighttime industries is up there, front and centre, and one of the important parts of Andy Burnham's premiership?
When I took the role on with Andy in 2018 in Greater Manchester, the condition attached was, I want to be able to be free to say what I believe is right. And ultimately, I would advise him. He didn't always take everything on board. He took the vast majority on board. I think one of the things I'm most proud of is bringing the night bus back for Greater Manchester. And that wasn't, in my thought process, wasn't necessarily about getting clubbers or revellers home. It was about helping the staff who finish at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, who were being penalised by expensive taxis. Let's give them public transport back. And that was capped at £2. So, I'll give you an example where we didn't fall out or disagree publicly, but again, Sunak, when he did his Eat Out to Help Out scheme, was fantastic for hospitality. And yes, there is that argument now, did it spread the virus? Well, yeah, it probably did. But at the time, I said to Andy, look, this is great for hospitality. He thought the money that was being spent on that could have been spent elsewhere better. But he understood my views. I understood his views. I would love to help the sector. I would love to help Andy Burnham's new government on this. As long as I'm not stifled, there are things that need to be done and need to be said.
Understood. Look, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it. Sacha Lord, Chair of the Nighttime Industries Association and former nighttime economy advisor to Andy Burnham when he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. Thank you, Sacha.